modeling video. Once modeling is complete, next we apply materials and set the quality/feel, texture. After that, we unwrap the UVs and set up textures so we can paint colors onto the face. Once these settings are finished, the process is complete. So we will set up the rendering and save the image. Let's get started. Go to the Layout workspace and change the 3D view shading to Material Preview. First, we set up materials based on which parts we want to have different qualities, textures. Select the object and create a new material by pressing New in the Material Properties. Using Principled BSDF, since the eyes are black, set the base color to black, increase metallic, and decrease roughness. Set materials for the teeth, eyebrows, nose, body, pants, and haramaki, belly band. When setting the base color, you can easily set the color by using the eyedropper in the color panel to select the color from the design image. When naming materials, it's good practice to prefix them with MAT for clarity. Among the objects where we want to set textures, the body, the haramaki, and the pants, we will unwrap the UVs for these three objects. First, since some parts may have changed shape significantly due to sculpting, in the multi-resolution modifier, press Apply Base in the Shape section to match the shape back to the original low-resolution polygons, mesh. Once the base has been changed, select the object and move to the UV editing workspace. First, select all the polygons, and if you use Project from View in the UV menu, it will be displayed on the image side. Then we unwrap the UVs by adding cuts, seams, to the polygons so that they do not overlap. Since seams might not connect cleanly when unwrapped, we will add cuts in places that are as inconspicuous as possible. We add cuts so that the unwrap opens as cleanly as possible. Double-clicking an edge allows you to select all connected edges at once. This method works well for setting up the seams. But if it doesn't connect properly, you can select the edges you want to connect while holding down Shift and Control, which will select the shortest path of connected edges. We add cuts so that the unwrap opens as smoothly as possible. Once all the seams are added, next we apply UV Unwrap in the UV editor. It will unwrap and we will make corrections if necessary. We want to arrange the unwrapped UVs neatly, so we select all the UVs and use Pack Islands in the UV menu. Since the UV islands are touching, we want to create some space, so we adjust the margin by entering a value. Once we have cleanly unwrapped the UVs, let's unwrap the UVs for the other objects as well. Once the UVs are unwrapped, we can start painting colors. First, we create a texture. There is a Create New Image button above the UV view, so press it. Enter the texture name and set the resolution. For now, we'll set it to 2048 by 2048. We get the color using the eyedropper from the design image. Press New Image to create it. Return to the Layout workspace, set the base color to Image Texture, and specify the newly created image. Now that the texture is set on the body, we can paint in the Texture Paint workspace. Let's add the red color for the cheeks. In the Texture Paint view, select the color at the top, grab the red color from the design using the eyedropper, and start painting. It's a good idea to paint while adjusting the strength of the brush. We will also paint the inside of the mouth and the hair. Since the painted texture has not yet been saved, make sure to save it. Save it using Save Image. Create a Textures folder inside the main data folder and save it there. If you don't save it here, your work might be lost. So make sure to save it. Now that the body texture is done, next we set the quality/feel for the haramaki. For the haramaki, we won't use painting. We'll only set the material quality. We will download preset texture maps that define the quality or look from sites like Polyhaven. For the haramaki, choose a suitable fabric texture and download it. Since we won't be using the color, it's best to look at the fabric texture itself when downloading. Unpack or unzip the downloaded texture files into the data folder. Move to the shading workspace. We want to use an add-on that makes setting up the Principled BSDF easy, so go to Preferences, Add-ons, type in Node, and activate Node Wrangler. In the node editor at the bottom of the shading workspace, display the right sidebar. Select the Principled BSDF node and press Add Principled Setup in the Node Wrangler tab. A file viewer will open, so select all the downloaded textures and press Principled Texture Setup. This automatically connects the textures to the nodes. Roughness and normal maps were connected based on the file names. While observing the quality of the texture, we adjust the scale of the mapping. Once it looks good, next we set the texture for the pants. I want to set the pants to denim. Similarly, we downloaded denim texture from Polyhaven and set it up. Now that the textures or looks are set, the character is generally complete. We will also create the forgotten charm. Next, let's set up the environment map so we can render the image. We could use the default environment map included in Blender, which is set in the material view. But since we are doing this now, we are going to download an HDRI from Polyhaven's HDRI collection. Download a suitable HDRI. In the World Properties on the right, click the yellow color icon, select Environment Texture, and then use Open to set the downloaded texture. If you change the viewport shading to Render, you will see that the HDRI is reflected. We want to be able to adjust the HDRI, so we move to the Shading workspace and change the Node Editor's context to the world. Select the HDRI node and press Add Texture Setup in Node Wrangler. This sets up the mapping node, allowing us to rotate it. Return to the Layout workspace. Add a camera via the Add menu. And press the camera icon on the right to set the view to the camera. Check the Lock Camera to View option in the View section of the side panel, which locks the screen operation to the camera view. Once the camera is positioned well, go to the Render menu and press Render Image to try rendering. We were able to render the image. If you want to hide the HDRI background, check the Transparent box in the Film section near the bottom of the Render Properties. Setting up ray tracing in the Render Properties makes shadows and reflections cleaner. By changing Eevee to cycles, you can render an even cleaner image. In the Output properties, you can set the resolution and set the output destination when rendering an animation. What do you think? Once you set the materials, quality, and the environment, you feel like you can create exactly the CG you envision. If you focus on the details and refine the settings, it will become even better. You can create CG this easily using just the standard functions. Blender's functionality can be expanded using add-ons created by users all over the world. You have complete freedom to make CG easier or to increase the quality. Now, you too can freely roam in the world of infinite imagination. We could finish here, but since I want to make it a bit cuter, I want to add fur to make it look more like an animal. We will cover fur in the next video. I will fight for my